I sent two things. I have had problems with Optimum. And today my husband was online with Microsoft because we had a lot of problems with the computer, but I finally got it because it was jumping around. I couldn't click on something when I wanted to send a document, and it was really annoying. Anyway, I don't know if we've done this, but what I'm giving you today is a feel-good lesson, because this is something that is easy for you to participate in Hebrew. There's two ways to do it. One is to the morning blessings. They're called Birkot HaShachar. And one way to do it is you can read along with the cantor, or you can simply say Amen after each of them. But it would be good for you, I don't know if the rabbi or the cantor does it in your shul, but the melody is the same for all of them. And one of the first things that I have done when I was up on the bima, leading something in Hebrew, I said, oh, I could do that. This was years and years ago. Oh, let's see. Dorothy, Francine, Nancy, I don't see you're muted, and I don't see your pretty faces.
There you go.
I got Francine, I got Nancy. Dorothy. All right. So this is our last official class. I would be glad to meet with you in the summer. I need to know a consensus. Do you want to continue? Those of you who want to continue, would the same time on Friday work with your schedules? Would that be?
I'll rearrange my schedule to whatever fits.
All right. Sure. So when is the Women's League gala?
The 6th, well, it starts on the 16th to the 18th.
Okay, so I think maybe the first is the 8th or something like that of July, and we can start then. So that would be fine. So like I was saying, I wanted to give you something simple, but I had a question for you. Do any of you now, or have you ever worn a talit to services?
Yes, I do.
Okay, a couple. Me too, all the time. And I just want to tell you a quick thing that happened to me once. One day I was rushing to get out because I like to make the minyan on Shabbat, which means leaving the house at about 10 to 9 and being there at 9 o'clock pronto when they start, because that's when they count. And I like to be among the first 10. I mean, this is just a little shtick with me. I like to do that because I feel that that's adding the rabbi's happy. He's got his minyan, and then you could do certain things. So a couple years ago, quite a few years ago, I was rushing out of the house to get to services Saturday morning, and I forgot my talis bag. So I forgot my talis. And I felt like I was undressed. I sit in the fourth row in the front near the cantor, on the cantor side. I felt so bad, so self-conscious, that I sat in the last row all the way in the back on the side. And the whole morning, it affected the davening and my enjoyment of the service.
But couldn't you have gotten?
Yes, they have others there, but it wasn't my talis. It'd be like putting on someone else's shoes. Would you put someone else's shoes on? Not that it has cooties or anything, but
well, you don't know.
But I felt, and I even bought a couple of pink talesim for women to use. And anytime a man puts it on, I'm always chuckling.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. So I gave that, as a gift when I was president of the sisterhood at the end of the year. I presented them with, I guess, a few of them. Anyway, it did affect me spiritually. I was very distracted. Now, last week I did okay. It was the week before it was a Shabbat reading, and I forgot my, I didn't have my yad. And I thought I knew that Torah reading, and I've done it before, and I messed it up. And I was very nervous, and I messed it up. I had to use the long one that goes on the Torah. It wasn't the same. Now, on Shavuos, I had my yad, and I did well, because I had readings on Friday and on Saturday, and I did fine. Then I had the melody, I knew the words, I knew everything. But that was, I botched that reading. I had to keep whispering in my ear, oh, you forgot this word or the trope. Anyway, So the question is, how do you feel, or do you feel any different when you're wearing the talit? I'm going to start with Denise, who's going to have her bat mitzvah.
Well, actually, we are going to be having a Talit presentation ceremony for those of us who have never worn one. I
Oh,
have
nice.
one, and my rabbi and the office manager gave me one as a bat mitzvah class, so I have it.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, and so do you know Ann Schimberg? She's part of the Women's League.
I know she's one of the teachers. I don't know her personally, but
Yeah, well, she and I we've bonded over, actually not a tragic loss, but anyway, she and I have gotten friendly, and I asked her if she would do it, and so she said she would do it for me. and say
Nice.
the blessing. So that's they're having a special service because obviously there are a few of us that have never worn one.
yeah,
Right.
it'll be a very special moment in
I
time.
know, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I can't wait to start wearing it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think the one that I have, my pink and white talit, my husband gave me for as an anniversary present when I was ready. You have to be ready. You really do have to be ready to wear it. Nancy, you wear a talis to shul?
I do. My daughter is just turning 40. And when she was preparing for her bat mitzvah, I, memorized a Torah portion because I didn't want the bat mitzvah prep to all be about party. And I mean, we had a very small party, but all that logistic stuff. So I memorized, and the cantor who just passed away, I have a whole shoebox of tapes. And I memorized it because I wanted to read Torah. I wanted it to be something special for me. But at that point, I didn't have a talit, I don't think. But then because of that, Denise, I was in a Banot Mitzvah class, but
Somebody
then
throw a talis over your shoulders when you were reading?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember Michelle, my daughter, getting hers. I remember my son getting his, and I know that I bought my own. And I don't exactly remember where, but I certainly had it when I did the Banot Mitzvah. So I've been wearing it ever since, which is probably 38 years ago.
Yeah. So does it make
And
a
I
difference?
do feel different. I do feel different because you do the prayer, when you put it on, and it makes you stop. You don't just go rushing into the shul. It makes you
I
stop.
sent you the
and
prayer. We'll go
pause
over
and-
the prayer today. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Anybody, Francine?
A friend of mine made my talit.
Oh,
So it's
lovely.
very special to me. She's a very talented woman.
Wow.
And we went to a fabric store and we picked out the fabric
Mm.
together, and we tied, the seat together, and it's beautiful. And I feel special when I put it on because it's talit and because it was made by my friend. So I'm sort of wrapped in my friend's love.
That's wonderful. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful, wonderful gift.
It was-
Anybody else? Charlene, I think you said yes.
Yes, I did. Back around, I think it was in 2000, I had an Adel B'nai Mitzvah class, and we didn't have to read Hebrew to graduate from that class. We went through lots of studying, and we all had our 3 lines, and I just memorized them.
Mhm.
It was actually Shavuos. It was 23 years this year. So next year will be our triannual again. We did Habakkuk, and
I always
just
want to say have
memorized
a
it.
cookie.
yeah, well. And I had the very first 3 lines. But I needed a talit to wear for that, so I just went and bought one.
Mhm.
Yeah, very nice. Dorothy, did you ever wear a talit?
No, I didn't.
You were raised very Orthodox, right?
Right.
Yeah, more or less.
So
Yeah,
that was
I
not a
went to
happening
what you call-
thing.
What you call a conservadox
Yeah.
synagogue. Yeah, our rabbi was very Orthodox. So,
Would you consider wearing
So
one?
I don't think so. I mean, I bought one for my daughter when her daughter had her bat mitzvah, and I bought one for her as well. But no, I don't think so. I mean, it's just not part of my upbringing to wear.
Right,
it.
it's not comfortable, it's not a comfortable feeling. Well, my daughter, for her bat mitzvah, I have 2 daughters, so the older daughter, made a speech, and she wanted to have a tallis, so we bought her a tallis and we presented it to her. And she said in her speech, well, Grandma Sarah would never have had an opportunity to wear a talit like this. And
Right.
she went on about women's, equality.
Mhm.
So the end of the story is a twist. It's a funny thing because she is married to a chassid.
Well,
Wow.
So she wore that tallis on her bat mitzvah, but now she wears a sheitel.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
I go and visit, I have to have everything is,
Right.
arms covered, legs covered, pipit covered, everything covered. And so I don't know what she did with that talit, but the girls, when they have a bat mitzvah, they don't read Torah. In fact,
Right.
my youngest granddaughter is having a bat mitzvah in September. She will have a party and the girls will come, they will dance together and they'll have a very nice day. And she'll probably read a speech that her tati writes for her. And I hope they practice it so that she can say it like it sounds like her words. But there'll be no tallis in her future, not in the immediate future. So there's 4 granddaughters, none of them, that's the littlest one, and one grandson, the prince. Of course, he had a talit, but none of the girls had the opportunity to wear a talit.
Question, have you exposed your Orthodox girls to a conservative, service? I mean, have they reached out to different
No,
branches?
because I sent one of the granddaughters a book that was written by Maggie Anton, and it was about
Mhm.
Rashi's daughters. There's a
Right,
series of
right.
Yeah.
fantastic books.
Yeah, it is.
And it's about the first one, the first in the series, where I don't remember which one it was, Yocheved maybe. And she sits in on her father's classes and she puts on tefillin,
Mhm.
and he did not allow her to read that book.
Oh,
Oh, that's terrible. I'm
Mm.
sorry.
So when I was honored as a Woman of Achievement from my synagogue, when I was synagogue president, and it was the lunch, the dinner, whatever, and people came, and my daughter and my son-in-law came. When the women were singing, he walked out.
Mhm.
So he's very, as he says, machmir, strict. And I go the second, I always do the first night of Passover at my house. I go the second night to them. Now, look, when I'm doing anything involving Jewish text, I always wear a kippah, any kind of praying or whatever, or teaching. And in the Hebrew school, I taught boys and girls, and I taught the boys how to put on tefillin.
Mhm.
One member of the men's club came to my class one Sunday. Hi, Diane. And he said, I'll teach the boys to put on tefillin. I said, I already did.
do you teach the girls also?
I asked them to check at home
Mhm.
in case their parents frowned upon it. And some of the girls took me up, and yes, and they put it on too.
Great.
So when I go the second night to Passover to my daughter's house, I don't want to start a fight with him. I
Right.
don't wear a kippah. So I said, what kind of schmuck am I going to put on my head? So I look in my drawer from, weddings past, and there's a little lace doily, and I feel ridiculous, but I put that little piece of lace on my head with a bobby pin, and I'm good to go. And I can light candles, and I'm fine. And we don't argue,
And he's okay with the lace doily, but not a kippah.
Right. I asked the oldest granddaughter, yeah, as long as my head is covered, oh, something just happened. It blanked out. Where'd you all go?
We see
We're
you.
here.
We're here.
here.
We see you.
Wow, you see me, I don't see you.
Huh.
Wow.
Did you knock your camera somehow, your camera
No,
button?
I don't know what happened. Let me forget it. Oops. There you go. So, no, that was okay. The lace doily was okay. I felt very self-conscious.
Mhm.
Does he let you sing during the Passover Seder?
They don't do that much singing at the end. I mean, they rush, they do the a long first half, then they eat, and after they ate, they kind of didn't do any more of the nice songs. And he sat there and he was singing to himself. I don't know that he would have been happy to hear me singing. Kol Isha, voice of a woman. It's
So
deadly.
have any of your four granddaughters come, this is following up on Dorothy's question, come to your conservative synagogue?
No,
Or
they have
would you-
not.
You won't let them?
I haven't invited them because that would mean driving on Shabbat. Or they'd have to stay over in my house on Friday.
Right, would he?
Yeah, so well, look, to get to shul, I have to drive. I'd have to drive on Shabbat. And so it doesn't work,
Right.
you know, Friday night and Saturday, you know, but they allow us to drive. It's like that, I have an invisible eruv on my head. They allow us to drive the second night of Passover, even though it's a chag, it's a full
Mhm.
holiday. We're allowed to drive it there to the house and we're allowed to drive home. So it's an imaginary eruv
Right.
dispensation from the spirit of Menachem Mendel. I try not to buck what goes on in their house.
Shalom bayit, right?
Exactly. And that is above all. And I can't say I permit it. I just don't interfere with it. I don't
Mhm.
encourage it. But I was pretty PO'd when he wouldn't allow my granddaughter to read a book. Just
Yeah,
like I am about the banning of books.
Right.
Anyway, so in short, wearing a kippah, wearing a talit, you know, I don't have any hats. I said to my second oldest granddaughter is going to have a graduation and she's going to like a Chabad school, very small. She's the graduating class. So we're going to a luncheon there. So I said, I was kind of teasing. I said to my daughter, do I have to wear a hat? And she said, you can if you want to. I said, well, I don't want to because I don't have any.
you know, at my shul, there's only one other woman who ever wears a tali on a regular basis. Not any other woman comes in there with one.
What kind of,
Wow.
what's the denomination?
Conservative.
Oh, really?
Denise,
Well,
where are
we
you?
have a lot. We have a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot in my shul too. a
We
lot
have
of-
a lot in our shul too.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
One-
yeah,
one
it's
other
the
girl.
culture of a particular place. If they've never done it and they frown upon it, you know, again, they don't want to be looked at like some kind of unusual species. who
Right.
happens
Well, that's my
to load it
hesitation.
in.
That's
Okay.
my hesitation to wear, and I don't, you know, I want to wear it, but I don't want to look.
Nobody wears a talit.
No, well, the men,
You
obviously the
could
men,
be the
but
first one. You could start a trend.
one other, like I said, one other girl who goes on Saturday mornings wears it. The rest, any other woman that comes in there does.
Sit next to her and you'll look like a group.
Right, and you know, you might, if you wear one, you might encourage others to wear them.
Yeah, they might ask you about it. People,
I mean, I know I've seen them when their kids have their bar bat mitzvah, they all wear one to go up on the bima. But they don't-
someone threw it on them. Somebody put it on their shoulders. It wasn't their own. But you can sit next to that woman, or you can be open to a questioning and say,
Yeah.
this is very special to me because I just had a bat mitzvah. And
Mhm.
as a bat mitzvah, I am a daughter of the mitzvot. And as an adult Jew, I feel that this is my duty and privilege at the same time to wear a
Yeah.
talit. You know,
Yeah.
I'm be honest, say I like wearing it. It makes me feel it makes me feel better,
More a part of it.
more a part of it and all. Okay,
Mhm.
so here's the one that I said you can just say amen or you can learn how to read these. So the morning blessings are very interesting, and I wanted to give you some of the words. You know me, I love to know exactly what it says. So if you're using Sim Shalom, it's page 10. I sent it to you. This is the one, morning blessings. They all start Baruch Atah Adonai. Okay, so we'll do the first one. If you know the melody, you can join in, but it's the same melody all the way down this whole, like most of this page. And it goes, you start Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lasech vivina lahavhin ben yom uvein laila. They all have the same da 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 da. It sounds like the Torah blessing, right? Baruch atah Adonai. Okay, so you're probably familiar pretty much with that. So what it says is, the first one, it says, Baruch atah Adonai, and then Eloheinu melech haolam. All of that, it's a preamble to all the brachot. Asher natan lasechvi. The sechvi is a rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Who gave, Asher, who, Natan, gave, la, to, sechvi, to the rooster, vina, knowledge, understanding, lahavhin, to differentiate, bain, between day, yom, uvein laila. So the rooster, I was in Israel and I heard early in the morning, cock-a-doodle-doo, and the rooster wouldn't shut up. Okay. So the translation is not just his creatures, it's roosters, sechvi, you can look it up in a dictionary. So the rooster has been given the knowledge to announce the day, okay? So it says we are grateful for the renewal of each day, and these are all the blessings. Okay, so yes, we want to get up and face the new day. Everybody wants that. I would like to hear the rooster if that's a sign that I'm alive. Okay, okay. So let's try the melody a little at a time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasechvi vina lahavchin ben yom uvein laila. Now, you can just say Amen, and you can participate in this whole thing, or you can read along and chant along. And if not, a lot of people are doing it, you can do it silently, and you can just say these in Hebrew. Does anyone want to say the first one?
You're assuming that we get to services this early.
Right.
Sorry.
It's incentive.
My
It's-
rabbi reads at hyperspeed. I could
There's
never.
a gold star. Yeah, your rabbi reads it or your cantor reads it. So can
Right. anyone
here read it? Go ahead.
Hyperspeed, though, I can't. I can only do amen. I could never keep up with that.
Okay, Nancy, do it at your own pace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan
Sechvi,
sechvi, right? Bina
Lahavchin.
lechavchin ben yom uvein laila.
There you go. There
That's
you
the
go.
last part.
All right. Diane, you are not, we can't hear you. Can you yeah, can you do that first one?
Oh, the first one again?
Yep, I want this to sink in.
Oh, I was hoping for the second one.
Well, I'll give you that one too.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher notan
Sechvi,
lasechvi. It was coming out eventually. Vina lehavhin bein yom uvein laila.
Mitsuyan, excellent. Okay, one more. Come on, Dorothy. Knock it out of the
Baruch
park.
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani be'tal
Asher Natan.
Oh, she's doing the next one.
I thought you
Oh,
wanted
oh.
me to do the next one down.
Okay, we're on the same. I wanted to finish the
Oh, you
first
want me
one.
to do the first one?
Yeah, I wanted that everybody hear it.
Okay, no problem. Except I have to read it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nata lasech vina lechavhin bein yom uvein laila.
Beautiful.
Not so good in
Okay.
the singing part.
No, it's fine. It was fine. All right. So Diane, you wanted to take the second one. Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Let me take my glasses off so I can see. Sha'al Sani Bit Salmo.
Okay, now, one of the biggest boo-boos, one of the worst things you can do in the Torah is idolatry, worship of idols. So the word Tselem is an idol. It's an image. It's an image, it's Tselem. And the word camera, I think of Matzlema, is from that Hebrew root, image, something that takes an image, a camera. I was in Svat many years ago in the north of Israel in a very religious town, and I had my cell phone with me, and the young girls that were going like this, was taking a picture of something, but she like hit her face. She didn't want to be photographed. So, okay. So Tselem is an image. And these are, by the way, the name of this is Birkot HaShachar. Anyone know the word Shachar or Shacharit? Does that sound familiar? Shachar?
That's-
Morning.
Morning, Shachar, dawn. So when are the Shacharit prayers?
Morning.
the morning.
In the
Morning.
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 Morning
In the
prayers.
morning.
Oh, Shacharit, yeah, that's part of the service.
Shacharit,
The
Shachar.
first service. That's the one I don't get, Sarah, till
Like
10
a
o'clock.
3-second delay. Okay. And so the second one says, blessing God, blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, She'asani, who made me B'Tselmo, in his image, because man and woman, he created them. It's in Genesis, right? Man and woman are in the image of God. There's no distinction between a man and a woman being holy. And I like that. So the next, okay, it was a little bit out of order in Lev Shalem. So the next one is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani, who made me Yisrael, and that means who made me an Israelite, who made me a Jew. Okay, so we had who made me in his image, man, woman, then made me a Jew. And then Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani. Now here is where we differentiate between male and female. Ben Chorin, Ben is a son, and Chorin is freedom, who made me a free male. And the women at that point say, Bat Chorin, who made me a free woman. Okay, does a woman say that when she has a divorce? I don't know.
She's freer.
Freedom, Nancy.
I'm reading from the newer prayer book, the Sidur Lev Shalom, and they're reversed. The
order?
the Israel one is after the Bain Bat one.
Yes, and in the Sim Shalom, that's why I hesitated, because I looked in both of them, because in the Sim Shalom, it says Yisrael, and then it says Bat Chorin, and it's reversed. I don't know why.
Okay.
Maybe they want to say they made me a woman and then made me a Jew. Maybe that was more important in the newer one. I don't know, but that's why I hesitated, because it's like that.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll say, you don't say Ben Chorin, make sure you'll say Bat Chorin. Okay. So the next one, now we get into some philosophical ones. The next one, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Anybody have an idea what that means? Liftoach means to open. Yep.
Opening the eyes.
Okay, now it doesn't say einayim, it says ivrim. And an aver is a blind person. And in a Billy Joel song, we didn't start the fire, and there's something about only the blind can see. And I challenged my Hebrew school students on that line, because that was when the song was in fashion. And I said, what does it mean, something that only the blind can see? So what can the blind see that maybe other people can't? So it was a good question. I challenged them to answer it. Of course, they like Billy Joel, so So it's been said that a blind person, an aver, has heightened senses of smell, touch, hearing.
Right.
Right? So maybe that those are the things that the blind can see, but the blind can perceive, not see, but perceive. Okay, a greater sense of hearing, and maybe they pay more attention to what is said, like, hey, watch out, a bus is coming or something like that. So maybe there's a greater sensitivity with somebody who has lost one faculty. All right. So that's what I asked them. Okay, so Ivrim are blind people, and Hokeach means opens, and opens the blind, and like opens the eyes of the blind. It's assumed. All right, moving right along. Okay, so now we get to some mitzvot. So in the morning, blessings remind us of some mitzvot. Okay, so the next one says, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. So that goes back to Adam and Eve. So someone who's arum is naked. Arumim are naked. And I don't think it actually means naked, because malbish means clothes. Okay, from lovesh. So when you say I'm wearing something, you say I need loveshet. I'm wearing whatever. So I don't really think it means naked. So what do you think that means? It's about a mitzvah of malbish arumim. Anybody have an idea what it's trying to say?
Oh, the people who are naked.
Yeah, what does that mean?
If somebody doesn't have clothing, get them something.
Right. So it's
Makes
a
sense.
mitzvah to contribute to people who don't have. And there's all kinds of drives, clothing drives, and some synagogues will take a family or two, and they will contribute. At Christmas time or Hanukkah time, they put like a sort of a pseudo tree, and there were cards, and it was for a family that had children that was indigent, and you picked a card and it said pajamas, or it said gloves, a scarf, or something like that. And so that was a way where we were able to contribute tangibly to a family who really needed clothes. So it's about a mitzvah. So that there's a series here of mitzvot. So this is really a very beautiful thing. People rush through it and they just say, amen, and the kids go, right, like 1,000 miles an hour. But it's very, very nice prayer in the beginning of the services. It's okay. So the next one says, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. So matir means releases or frees, and asurim means the imprisoned. Now, how would that be translated? Who frees the imprisoned? You're thanking God who frees the imprisoned. How can a person be imprisoned without being in jail?
Well, many ways, just by they can imprison themselves by putting restrictions on themselves, not having confidence in yourself, not thinking you can't do something. Also being ignorant. Being ignorant is sort of like being in prison, because you don't.
Great.
You
Right.
know,
You can be imprisoned in a bad marriage and not able to get a divorce.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And a lot of I think religious women in Israel are in that situation. There's I
Yeah, they
forget.
can't get a get.
They
My
can't get-
daughter's
There's
in
there's a
situation.
name for that. There's a name for that.
Aguda or something,
Oh,
Yeah,
Buddha,
aguna.
yeah.
Laguna.
A woman who's an aguna means
Laguna, yeah.
yeah.
Laguna.
that either her husband didn't release her, or her husband his body hasn't been found if he's dead. And so what is she to do? I mean, you live the rest of your life like a person who's married but has no husband because he's not around, or he just disappeared. He just abandoned her. And so that's really like a stateless way to be. Anyway, so who frees the imprisoned? And people who are mentally ill, a lot of the shootings that have taken place recently, mass shootings, have been with people who are mentally challenged.
mhm.
And I don't mean people who are slow learners. I mean people who really have serious
Illnesses.
deviations, serious bordering on being a sociopath. And they don't deserve to have guns, but that's another story. Okay, so the next one. Okay, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef. That's a lovely word. It has a zayin, a kuf, and a final phase. Zokef. Kefufim. Okay, zokef means raises up, lifts up, and kifufim are those who are bound or bent, literally bent. God raises up those who are bound or bent. So maybe bent by, like, depressed, bent by, sorrows, bent by problems that are heavy weighing on you. It like spiritually lifts you up. It raises up those who are bent. Okay. You'll know the words in the next one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. What words do you know there? What's aretz?
Land.
Land. And what's mayim?
Water.
Water.
Okay, so roka means stretches out. Roka stretches out the land over the water. So that reminds us of creation with the creation of land. Stretches out, okay, the land over the water. That's the creation of continents and land, masses of land, because everything in the beginning was tohu vavohu, it's all mixed up, water with everything, and it is land. Okay.
Wait, is the brand, the kosher brand Rokea, is that like,
I don't think so.
okay.
I think that's probably, we once had in our synagogue and another synagogue, a Rabbi Rokeach, and every time I said his name, I thought of the soup. Rabbi Rokeach. No, Rokeach stretches out the land on over the water. Yeah, this one says stretch something, the heavens and the earth. No, creates the heavens and the earth. Okay, it creates land masses. And then the next, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asali kol tzarki, who made for me all call. Now, tzarki is necessity, who gave me all, who fulfilled all my needs. And when you say I need in Hebrew, you say I need tzricha, I need tzarich. The woman says I need tzricha, I need. And if you say I need tzricha lalechet lebeit shemosh, where is it? That means I have to go to the bathroom. Where is it? Hey, Paul, where is it? Okay. So that's you have all your needs are met. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Mechin prepares the steps of a gaver is a man. In other words, a geber, a man who leads us, like prepares our steps where we are going to go. And I don't know what the translation is. Who provides us, puts us on our path, like leads us on the path. Okay, the next one's very nice. Okay, the next one is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Ozer Yisrael Bigvura. Now, a gibor, the word gibor comes from this root. I am chanting the Haftorah this Shabbat because the bat mitzvah girl is only reading from the Torah. So I will have the Maftir Aliyah and Parsha Naso, which is this Shabbat. The Haftorah talks about the birth of Samson. The mother was childless. Manoach was his father, and apparently an angel, Malach Elohim, comes to her and says, "I see that you are childless, and I will make sure that you get pregnant." And so she has a baby, and that's Shimshon. Shimshon HaGibor, Samson, the strong one, the mighty, Shimshon HaGibor. Okay, so Ozer Yisrael girds Israel with, they translated with courage, with bravery. And Gevura is bravery. Then the next, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Oter Yisrael b'tifara. Crowns, a teret, and a teret is a crown. Oter Yisrael, crowns, Israel, b'tifara, which means glory, crowns Israel with glory. And the last one is a very prosaic one after these really high flown. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanotein laya'ef koach. Maybe after reading all of these, who gives to the tired strength.
Strength, yeah, co-op.
Reading these at 100 miles an hour,
Yep.
then you might be ayef. A woman says, "Ani ayefa," that means I'm tired. A
Yeah.
man says, "Ani ayef, ani ayefa." Okay. Hanotain, who gives, la ya'ef, to the man, to the tired man, koach, koyach. Okay, koach. And that's that for the morning blessings. So, all right. Now, what did I give you? All right, so that's on that page. The next page is about tefillin and talit. And I think you should all be versed in where this occurs in the Shabbat morning blessings. Now, one thing you might know, you probably know, but I'll say it anyway, you do not put on tefillin on Shabbat. Going to services and saying the prayers is in lieu of putting on tefillin. Tefillin are only put on in the morning service, not in mincha, not in mariv, not on chagim, not on holidays.
Oh,
Okay? Because you go to service, if you go to service at mincha, that takes the place. And same thing with mariv. If you're going to the prayer service, you don't have to put on the tefillin. But in the shacharit service, you do put on tefillin. Okay.
but
So-
they do in morning minyan at our synagogue.
The morning service, the morning
Yeah.
minyan. The minyan is the morning service, the shacharit, but not
Right.
mincha and not mariv. Okay? And not
Yep.
holidays.
Okay.
So on Saturday morning.
Minyan, Nancy, morning
where-
minyan just means shacharit. The minyan is for the morning service.
So Saturday morning, you wouldn't wear them.
Never,
No.
Okay.
no. You put a talit on, but you do not tie on your tefillin. Okay, so there's three parts of it. Maybe in the summer, I'll bring the tefillin and I'll show you. There's three brachot. So you take your tefillin out of the bag, you have this long strap. There's one that has like a loop. You put your hand through it and you tie it. And you put it over here by your bicep. That's the strength showing, and it says you should love the Lord your God with all your might. Okay, so that's the reference to all your strength, all your might. So you put it on your bicep and you make that tight, that knot. Now, then you take these skinny straps and you wind it towards you 7 times. And the rest of and the thing is very long, but you'll still have stuff left. You've seen pictures of tefillin, right? And the men with it, where the straps spaced out. When you're winding it towards your heart, towards you. Okay, it goes this way. Is the rest of the strap you just put on your hand. You just hold that. Okay, now, after you've done just the tying of the strap, just getting that on your bicep, you say something. It says, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a talit. Okay, well, let's do the I want someone to read the Denise, read the blessing for the talit.
Is that the one above?
Yeah, the blessing for that. When you should know that you're going to be doing it soon.
Yeah, I know. By air?
Baruch.
Oh, okay. That doesn't look like it. Baruch Adonai.
Baruch atah.
Okay, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, here I am. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu
Lehit.
lehit teseh.
Lehitatev. That's a t. That's a
lehit
tet
teseh,
and a final fe. Lehitatev.
or ti- le-
Le-
lehit teseh
Lahit
Get it?
atev.
Okay.
What's the
But,
last word?
but, so,
Batzitzit.
but,
What? So when we see yeshiva boys, okay, they walk around with tzitzis, and Yiddish you say
Yeah.
tzitzis. Francine, what are tzitzit?
They're the fringes.
The fringes. The
Right.
fringes. The trouble that I had in sending, well, I had a few troubles in sending first the morning blessings, they had that name, and then I put Talit blessings. Well, my computer just did not want to recognize that there were other blessings, and that's why it doubled up and it said, and it gave again the morning blessings. That's why the first time I sent it, it came out twice. So I said, I am going to override the computer. I am going to go back and I'm going to scan it again and I'm going to rename it. And so I named it Talit and I left the word blessings out. The computer still, it must have a genie in there. There's a little leprechaun in there. Still, it did not like the word Talit because it associated Talit and it remembered blessings. No good. The third time I said, I'm going to really fix this computer. So the third time I called it fringes. And that went through.
That's
Mhm.
funny.
I mean, talk about artificial intelligence.
Right.
That's what
Scary.
because it kept reprinting the same thing, the
Right.
morning blessings. So when I called it fringes, it was, okay, that's something new. Okay, so let's all.
Wait, Denise, just so you know, there's only one word in there you don't know. And it's a lahitateif, right? The second to the last word.
Lahit
Atef, lahit atef.
Lahitatif, yeah.
Say it a few times to yourself and you'll get it. When you say, I'll see you, you say lahit ra'ot. That's
Right.
reflexive. And the word lahit atef means to wrap oneself. When you have the beginning lahit with a verb, that means to do something to yourself. Lahit ratzot, lahit rachetz means to wash yourself, wash your hands. Okay, so lahit ra'ot means we'll see
Wow.
each other again. It's reflexive, right? Okay,
Lahitatif. And I do that, and is this what's on the back of my,
on the
Yep.
atara, on the
That's what you'll read it from.
the neck.
Okay.
Yeah, lahit
all right,
atef.
I guess they'll show us what to do.
Yeah, but you should practice that word lahit atef, batzitzit. To wrap
We're having
yourself,
rehearsal for this thing every week from now until July.
wrap yourself in the fringes in the tzitzit. Okay, that's it. Okay, then I gave you the third paragraph of the Shema. The first paragraph we went over. The first paragraph is you should love the Lord your God with all your might, with all your heart. Okay, ve'ahavta, you should love. It's a command to love, which is interesting anyway. How can you command something? But nevertheless, it says ve'ahavta, and you will love the Lord your God. Okay, we accept it. So that's the first paragraph of the Shema. So when I ask you how many paragraphs are there of the Shema, it's not just ve'ahavta. The second paragraph is the if then. The first part of that second paragraph says, if you are good, if you perform the mitzvot and you don't worship idols and you are good, you're a good Jew, then you'll have water and you won't die off. Water for your cattle, water for your crops. Okay. And if not, the rain will be withheld and goodbye, Charlie, and you'll die. You will die out. Okay. So the first part is very encouraging. If you do this, I'll give you water, you'll have grass, and you'll have plenty to eat and all the rest. In the middle, right after the good stuff, it says, but if you don't, and then it goes into, if you worship idols, then all these bad things are going to happen. And basically it says you're going to die. Lack of food, lack of water. Okay. I only, when we're doing the Shema, the blessings before the Shema, I do V'ahavta, and I do the first half, the good stuff. I don't read the second half because it's kind of depressing. So I read the first part. If you're good, this is the good stuff you're going to get. And I don't read the whole thing. I mean, that's just my own personal preference. Now I am wearing a talit. So when you get to, I think Bahavienu, the rabbi will say, okay, take your fringes. So that you take, so Denise, you take the 4 fringes and you hold them in your hand. And
Okay.
in this 3rd paragraph, every time they say the word tzitzit, and there's 3 times, you hold the fringes and you kiss them.
Right. I
Okay.
watched that. Yep.
Okay. So there is a point before you begin the 3 blessings. After the parts of the Shema, before you begin the Shema V'ahavta, and then the second one, and then the 3rd. So I thought we should read this today. Now, it's done silently. So you gather your tzitzit. The rabbi may say, Denise, does the rabbi in your shul say, okay, now gather your tzitzit?
No,
No, people just do
just
it.
goes right into it.
Do it.
Okay, do you see him do it?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, you'll see people doing it. Okay, the
I
men.
did- Yeah, I've been watching that. Yes.
Right, so you gather it in your hand, and then every time you say the word tzitzit. Okay, so let's read this. Let's take parts and let's read this. And even those who are reluctant readers, everybody should try to read the best that they can. Okay, so Diane, Stacy, do you want to read a little bit?
Sure.
All right, why don't you start us? There's a lot of words that you'll know.
Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Lamor Daber El Bnei Yisrael. Keep going.
Okay, very good, perfect. Letter perfect. Okay, Charlene, you want to read a little bit? The second one
No.
will help you. Come on, all that Hebrew that you studied.
Yeah, right.
How about
I
if I
didn't
say-
study Hebrew until I started your class.
All right, so repeat after me, Charlene. The Amarta
Ve'amarta
Alehem,
Elehem
the Asu
Ve'asu
Lahem,
Lahem
Tzitzit.
Tzitzit
That's the first one. Let's keep going. Al Kanfei,
Al
Kanfei,
Kanfei
Vigdehem,
Vigdehem
Vigdehem. Okay.
Vigdehem.
Mm-hmm. Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Lemor. Can anyone translate that? That's very biblical. It appears a lot. Vayomer.
God said to Moses.
Okay. Vayomer Alehem. Vayomer, and he said to them, and they did, and Asulahem, and they made tzitzit. They made tzitzit on the corners, kanfei, bigdehem, of their beged, of their bigadim, of their clothing, and they made fringes on the corner of their clothing. So you know, yeshiva boys walking around in Brooklyn during the day. There's something called arba kanfot, the 4 corners. They have a it's a garment, and it's sort of like a serape. They you put your head through it, and you wear it during the day, and it's got fringes. And so when you see the yeshiva boys walking around, it's not Shabbat, but they wear that. When I was in Israel and my grandson was just like 5 years old, I knew he was going to start wearing this. So I went to a Judaica shop, and I said to the guy, I want to buy this Arba Kanfot for my grandson. And I said, but it has to be special. I said, he's Lubavitch. So do you have that kind of a special one? He says, listen, I'm from Brooklyn. I am too. I know exactly what you need. I said, oh, great. I went and brought it to my son and my son. Oh, yeah. I said, this is out of the hands of a Lubavitch in a Judaic store in Yerushalayim. So that's what you get, little guy. Okay. All right. And so that's what it says. Somebody want to read the 3rd line, Dorothy, maybe?
Sure. Ledorotam Vinat New Nam Vinat Vinat New
Correct?
Al Sit
It's the
Hakan
second time.
Hakanaf Tehil,
Patil.
Tehil, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Tehil, Tehale.
Tehillah. Now,
Tehale.
patil is a thread. So apparently, in ancient times, there was this, techelet is purple. It's turquoise, techelet. There was like a turquoise thread that was, and I know that Margie Sella, Rabbi Margie, I don't know if she has one, but she's looked this up. This turquoise thread was originally wrapped in with the tzitzit. Okay,
Yeah.
teal is a thread, techelet, a turquoise thread. Okay, and then it says v'chaya. Okay, the fourth line, Francine, lachem. The fourth line, it starts with lachem, v'haya.
She's on mute.
Oh, Francine, unmute. I want you to read the fourth line, start with lachem. You're
Still on mute.
Still on mute. You're still on mute. Can you?
Okay,
Oh,
Yay.
good, yay.
okay. Lachem litzitzit. Or itam. Or item.
Mhm.
Oto. Uv. Ver. Tam.
Uzachartem, and that's from the root zocher. So you would,
Uza. Hartam.
in every generation, you will make yourself tzitzit, and you will see them and remember from zocher. Okay, keep going.
Et kol mitzvot Adonai.
Right, so that's the purpose of the fringes. You're supposed to look at them and remember the mitzvahs. Okay, all right. The asitem, Diane Gensler. Unmute. The fifth line starts with v'asitem. V'asitem.
Ve'asitem otam velo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei, and then my printer.
Einechem.
Einechem, it's hard to see. It's
Yeah,
totally
and you will make them, and you will not lust after, your heart will not lust after, and your eyes, einechem, and the next is asher. In other words, when you look at these fringes, you're supposed to think of the mitzvot, and you're not supposed to do any of those bad things, okay? Idol worship, you're not supposed to do that. Okay, asher. So everybody read after me. We'll do a little reading, a choral. Asher atem,
Asher.
Atem,
zonim,
Zonim,
acharehem.
Acharehem.
Now, a zona in Hebrew is a prostitute. So you should not prostitute yourself by worshiping idols. Okay, so I mean, that's what it means. Lema'an, tizkaru, and you're gonna, so that you will remember the asitem, and you will do et kol mitzvotai, all my mitzvahs, v'hitem kadoshim, and you will be holy, lelohehem, lelohehem, and you will be holy to your God. Ani Adonai, I am the Lord, Elohechem, your God, Asher, who hotzeti etchem, I took you, and you can figure out from where, me Eretz Mitzrayim, Vihiot lachem, lelohim,
Elohim.
Elohim.
to be your God. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Ani
Adonai
Elohim.
And don't you forget it. I think Hashem got a lot of mileage out of taking us out of Egypt. It's we do it, we say it on Passover. It's just that concept is repeated in the Kiddush, right? I mean, they always end with, Ani hotzeti etchem le'eretz Mitzrayim. Okay, now you owe me big time. That was in parentheses. Because you hear this refrain again and again. That's the deal, fellas. I'll take you out of Egypt if, oh my goodness, if you will do 613. Here's the list. Don't have to worry about the ones that you shouldn't do. Well, yeah, you do, but there's some that you can't do because there's no more temple, right? You can't bring sacrifices, but you can do the good stuff, do the positive stuff. Okay, almost finished. The blessings to put on the tefillin. Okay, so there's 3 very short brachot to put on tefillin. The first thing is you attach that loop onto your bicep, and then you take the rest of the strap and wind it around 7 times. 7 is always a good number. And it's Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav. Okay, you know all of that. Vitzivanu, and commanded you la haniach tefillin. Haniach, la haniach. That means to bind. Tefillin is tefillin, to bind the tefillin. La haniach, la haniach. It's one of those ach words. Ach, the liba. Okay, now I have that strap attached to my bicep, and I wrapped it around the strap 7 times. And after I did that, okay, I said the first part. First, you say the first part, just you attach the strap. Then you say the blessing. Now, after you say the blessing, you wrap it around 7 times. Okay, now for the next part. Now you have 2 pieces, 2 separate things in the tefillin. One is tefillin shel yad. That's the one that you have on your hand. And the other one is tefillin shel rosh. You put it on your head. So we said the first blessing, and I did the stuff partially finished with my hand. Then I'm holding the rest of the cord. Just wrap it around your hand. Now it's supposed to be by your forehead, by the hairline, right there. So you put it on, and when you buy a new set of tefillin, you have somebody adjust it. There's a special nut that's in the back, and they adjust it so that it doesn't come down on your eyes. It stays tight right around your hairline. Okay, and so the bracha for the tefillin, so you put it on your head, and then the 2 straps come down, and the black should always be showing. Okay, that comes down on your chest. And so then you say the bracha. You say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tefillin, who commanded us for the mitzvah of tefillin. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is his holy name from now and forever. Okay, so that's the second thing. So now I'm still holding the rest of the strap just wound around my hand. So now I've got this thing knotted on my bicep, and it's 7 times around. And you should do it fairly tight, because otherwise it's like an accordion. It all comes down. Okay, so now I have that on my head. And the last part is you wrap so here the middle finger is good because you have to wrap the strap around the middle finger. Okay, so we wind the strap 3 times around the middle finger. Ve'erastich li le'olam, ve'erastich li b'tzedek u'v'mishpat u'v'chesed u'v'rachamim, ve'erastich li be'emunah ve'yadat et Adonai. And it's something like this. I will betroth myself to God, and I will betroth myself with tzedek, with charity, with righteousness and justice and chesed and compassion and uvarachamim. It's like compassion. Ve'erastichli, and I will betroth myself be'emunah, with faith. via dot et, and you will know God. So it's not hard after you practice it a lot, but you should practice, because in the beginning they start putting these straps around their arm and they all fall down because they're not tight enough. Now, when the men take off, and the women, whoever does it, when they take off the strap, if it's tight enough, you'll see a mark
Right.
where the straps were, right, where the 7 straps were. And when you do this around your finger, you also come around this way and you make the letter shin. So there's a shin. It's supposed to be like Shaddai, the way it comes out when you put it on your hand, and that's the Aramaic word for God. So everything in Judaism is symbolic.
Wow.
We don't get away with anything. I mean, is everything has a meaning. And I guess that's why there's so many Jewish lawyers, because you have a lot of laws, a lot of figuring out to do what the symbols are, what the prayers actually mean, what you're supposed to do and not do. And it actually does get kind of complicated. I
So-
mean, it's very beautiful.
Is there a specific way to take the tefillin off?
You have to do it in reverse. Good question. So the last thing, so you take the hand, then the head, and then the straps. Very good. And when you put it in your little tefillin bag, and here's a real trick. You have to wind it up on the box neatly. Don't just throw it in with a whole bunch of straps hanging all over the place. There's a special way you just have to put it, wrap it up again, so it's nice and neat, and like tuck in the end of the strap. And the question is, when you take it out, to know what part is what. The one that has just like a circle, that's for your head, and the one that has a really long thing that looks like it has a lasso, that's for the arm. Okay, the real long one you'll know is the arm, because you have to tie it on your arm, you have to put it on your hand. But the other one that you just put on your head, that fits nicely, and the 2 straps hang down. Okay, so you should practice this. If you, I sometimes put on tefillin when I go to services, but, and the big but is that mine are, the ones that I have are not mine, they're old. And the black, the paint is cracking, and you really should get, so someday I'm going to, for a Hanukkah present, buy myself a new set of tefillin, but I want to go to a female soferet, female scribe, who was recommended to me by our rabbi, and I want to buy it from her. I want to get it from a female scribe, and then I will feel more like putting it on, because it's really not kosher, the one that I have. I think it's an old one from my dad. And it's not really a kosher one, so I don't really put it on, but I will do it more when it's mine. And then have the head thing fit, because the other one is a little big for me. And then I'll start putting on the tefillin.
Very nice.
So ladies, next week I take off for Points Mediterranean. I'm leaving on Friday afternoon. Friday night I will be not traveling, the plane will be traveling, I'll be sitting still. And we leave at 7:30, and Shabbat begins, I think, around 8 something. We'll be arriving in Venice the next morning around 9:30. We'll go to Crete and Cyprus and Greece. And when I'm in Venice, I hope to visit the ghetto, the Jewish quarter. I'll have Sunday, because Saturday I may walk there. And then when we will dock at Ashdod. From Ashdod on the coast, it's a straight line into Yerushalayim. I'm hoping to get there. I hope that Israel gets its stuff together and there's no more great protests. I did send you an article that I wrote, trying to like untangle all the pieces, and then we'll go to Haifa, and I'd like to go to Tzfat. That's the holy city of Tzfat. So we'll see what happens. Those are my ideas, but we'll see what happens.
And where do you end up?
We end up again in Venice, but just right to the airport.
Got it.
When will the next class be, Carol?
I think I'm gonna look. I think it's the 8th of July. Let me look.
Okay,
July.
all right, I just wanted to have an idea.
Yeah, I'm quickly looking, it's July. July 9th. July 9th.
July 9th is a Sunday.
Oh,
That was
Right.
your birthday.
yeah, my
It's my
birthday's on the
birthday.
10th. Okay, then the 8th. The
Right.
first,
No,
Saturday,
it would be Saturday, the 7th.
seventh, Friday the seventh.
the 7th, is it
7th.
Friday? Okay,
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
7/7. Okay.
that's
Well, you'll send
lucky.
us, you'll send us.
I will. Now, if you have any requests, any favorites that you want to bring back, even if it's Ashrei, what I'm going to do, if it's Ashrei, I'm going to make cue cards, big ones. I'm going to write out the words with the cha on the end so that you can see them nice and big. And we can have a game. We can get the most points. We'll play my game Shark. Shark is where you read, and when you make a mistake and you fall into the waters, you're eaten by sharks. That's when somebody corrects you. And then the kids used to love that game in Hebrew school because they'd love to correct somebody else, another kid.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Carol, have a wonderful trip. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm
have a
gonna
great
thank you.
Enjoy.
trip. I
It
hope,
sounds
Great trip.
wonderful.
Shalom,
Yeah.
everybody.
Enjoy.
Shabbat
So
shalom.
Shalom, everybody. Have a good
I
week.
hope to bring back some souvenirs from Israel. We'll
Oh,
see.
yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Denise.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
All right, have a
Shabbat
great, it's going
shalom.
to be very hot here in Long Island. So, but enjoy whatever you're doing.
Carol,
Yes,
do you remember last week I asked about the comforting the mourners?
I didn't
No,
have.
no, 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 no. I'm not
Oh,
asking you to
did
do
you?
it because I
Yes.
found it when I
Oh,
was
really?
in
Where?
Lev Shalom for, the things that you sent. It's on page 26 in Lev Shalom.
Does
Just-
it say Hamakom Yenachem Etchem or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. But it says when mourners in the week of Shiva are present, they now enter the synagogue and we greet them with the following. So they're not there at the very beginning.
Do you know what Hamakom means? There are many words for God. And like Sur Yisrael, a rock, and Makom is another word that refers to God.
Okay.
So when they say Hamakom, the word Makom in regular Hebrew means the place, but God is the place. God is where it's at.
And that's the same prayer you say when they're leaving after putting the dirt in the grave, right? And you line up on both sides.
Hamakom Yenachem Etchem. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
May the Holy One comfort you. Yenachem, you comfort. Yeah. Okay. How is
Okay.
the family doing? It must be very difficult for somebody who's
awful.
really
Yeah.
beloved
yeah.
in a synagogue and passes. It's a tremendous loss.
It's huge. Yep.
So on a happier vein, Shabbat
Yes.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Enjoy. I'm going to have my Baba Ganoush. I'm very happy.
Go.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.